Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you are listening to High School Hoops with our hosts, Steve Collins and Jake Steger. Hey, Coach, happy Friday. Episode 212 of Coach Unplugged, and I think it's episode 7 of High School Hoops. Jake and I are going to be talking about practice planning, what to kind of get in before that first practice, things you should probably get in. But before we get to that, I'd like to do a shout-out to Dr. Dish, our sponsors for the rest of 2018. We really appreciate that. You know, it is a machine that is not only durable but versatile, has technology, and it makes your life easier. That's the easy thing. And the balls don't get really caught anymore like the old machines 20 years ago. So it's a great thing. I love the way the ball comes out of the machine. It's so much better than some of the older machines. So go over and check them out. If you like it, make sure you mention Coach Unplugged, and they'll give you $300 off your next purchase. So do that. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com. If you're looking to take your coaching to the next level, I can't imagine a better place or a better time of the year to go do that 14-day free trial. Come join our community and be a Teach Hooper. All right, let's get off to the podcast. I know Jake and I are always laughing and having a good time, and I'm hoping you're getting something out of these high school hoops. So here we go. What to get in before that first practice. All right, here we go. Episode 7 of High School Hoops. Jake and I we're laughing because he just told me the topic, and I go, okay, well, I don't know if we're going to have enough time in the day to get this one done, but we'll give it a shot. And this is because I'm balding or gray hair. All right, so tell the topic for this week.
I'm a little afraid now, but what the question of the day on this Friday is what I should get in before the first game of the season. And, everybody thinks that they can get everything in before everything hits the road for the first game of the season, but I don't believe that that's totally true.
No, and I think it goes back to either 6 or going back a couple episodes where I think you got to map it out. You have to look at who you're playing. And you can't have 7 out of bounds plays in for the first game. You can't work on all your, it's going to suck if it comes down to the last 30 seconds and you haven't worked on situations. I get it, but that's what keeps me up at night. It's like, oh, crud, we haven't done this. Or, ooh, maybe 3 years ago they ran a 1-3-1 against us. So you gotta pick your battles. And I think you were making a point of this too. You got to pick your battles. You got to get really good at some things early before that first game. You got to obviously have an offense and a defense and a press break and out of bounds play. Yeah, I mean, we can go through the list of the specific things you need, but you got to get good at some specific things before that first game. You're not going to have everything in. To be honest with you, you can probably outcoach people earlier in the year because everybody's in the same boat. You're going to have to adjust on the fly. Maybe you're going to have to throw a zone at them and they haven't done a zone yet. You might have to do it in a timeout, something like that. So those are some of the adjustments I think you have to make before the first game. What's your thoughts?
One thing that I came up with as being an assistant coach last year, and I thought it was a great idea for us, is I always had a binder prepared for any situation that we were in. So those kind of things would keep you up at night. Whatever, if we ever saw a box and one, dime one, the things you might not see in practice right away. I literally had it tabbed. And as an assistant, whether it's halftime or out of a timeout, I always had things if we needed it to go to talk about or use.
Right.
So I think that's one way, if you want to, whether you have an assistant or or another coach, design some type of binder where you have that. I think it's really really important to have that. I found that having those right away is a great tool for coaches, especially early in the season. We haven't really touched a lot on 1-3-1, or our 1-3-1 offense is not working really good. Let's use one of the quick hitters that we have in our playbook, but we haven't even taught yet. But let's try something. Let's see what we can do. I think that's huge.
And this is just, I have no basis for this, so I'm interested in your theory on this. I think the defense is always farther along than the offense early in the season.
I think it has to be. Because I've heard a lot of coaches speak, but a couple of years ago, I heard a coach speak about that a lot of the game is disadvantage. A lot of the game is up and down. It isn't. It's so how you're able to defend is far more important than your offense, because it is a lot of disadvantage most of the game.
It is, and I don't know. Maybe this is just a Wisconsin phenomenon, but I don't think the kids shoot the ball as well in November as they do in March.
No, I always told my players early in the season that it's not going to be a shot that's going to beat you early in the season. It's going to be a team that gets a team that maybe takes care of the basketball better than you do, a team that rebounds better than you do, that the effort, just plays harder, wants it more than you do early in the season. It clearly comes down to early in the games. And then as the season progresses, you're going to have teams that make big shots, and they are shooting the ball better, and they're executing their quick hitters, or their offense is really, they're able to read off it better. Those things are going to happen later in the season compared to what happens early in the season.
Right, so. And people are going to get better. It's like they're going to scout you. They're going to adjust you. They're going to do that kind of stuff. It's like those defensive little twists are what I think can cause some issues early on. And again, this is purely observational. I just don't think kids, they haven't had the shots. They haven't had the reps. Now, maybe it's different for the kids that only play basketball. And if your program only plays basketball and they're shooting all year round, maybe they're coming in better. I'm not sure it's going to peak. Hey, Coach, I hope you're enjoying listening to High School Hoops, brought to you by the great people over at teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. 14-day free trial right now. That will be going away sooner than later. Resources, videos, it's Netflix for basketball coaches with a real person on the other side to help you. So go over and check it out. Also, if you're listening to High School Hoops, we're making a special discount for the high school hoopers that are listening to this. Type in school in the discount code and get 10% off for the lifetime of your membership. Can't think of a better deal. All right, let's get back to high school hoops later in the season. But I know, at least in our area, I think kids shoot the ball better 2 months in because they're getting more shots up.
I think that's one thing, but also the mental preparation. Your gym size of a big high school like that is way different than summer league basketball or playing at a big gym. It takes several games to get used to that environment, especially if you have a really young team, or I don't care if you're the best player in your team, you're not going to shoot the ball like you did late last season until you get in the rhythm. It's a different thing, when it's a real game and it's the horns off, it's different than you're playing summer league at 7 o'clock at night at some local high school.
Right, with 2 baskets and a guy that stands at half court to officiate. Yes, it's
exactly. It's way different.
Yeah,
a couple things that I wrote.
Team isn't yelling at you, kind of thing. Yeah, calling you names that they shouldn't do. It's bad sportsmanship, but it happens. But I think you got to make a list.
Right.
You really got to make a list.
I made a list here. I think a press break is huge. You just never know when that pressure is going to happen. You got to get the ball in. I like having multiple defenses. I'm not a person that likes to just be one type of defense. I think that can be really used early in the season as a game changer, because you're still you may know what teams are doing, but if things aren't working out right, you have defense to fall back on and change the game up in the discourse of the game. The other thing I said, some type of press is always great, whether you need to get back into a game or to change the game. Maybe a few sets or some type of set to get a quick bucket, and then you got to have some type of series of blobs and slobs. But you're not going to get 7 or 8 of them. You might have a couple really good ones, and you're good at them.
Yes.
To start the season.
Don't worry about the jump ball.
No. Yeah.
It's like that I'm mocking the jump ball, but it's true. It's like there's one jump ball. Like, okay, how many really side out of bounds plays do you need for the first game? You don't.
It's like I referee soccer, and I always get in arguments with parents on throw-ins. I'm like, do you understand that after that throw-in, the ball is going to be in somebody else's hand in a matter of seconds? It's not going to make a huge difference. And so I think you got to look at your criteria is what are going to be the big difference makers early in the season for you in your early games.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's the kicker is you look at your schedule, look at your opponents, come up with a list, and then map out the days and then leave a cushion in those days. That's an old coach telling you leave a cushion because you think you're going to get – I'm telling you, the last couple of years I've done my thing, blah, blah, blah. It's like but I've learned I need a cushion day or two. Like, okay, if this doesn't work here, I'm going to need another day to work. Either I'm going to need another day to work on it, or I'm going to need a day to put something else in because that didn't work. So, if you're thinking, oh, I want to get that 1-3-1 in and I need 2 days, give yourself 3 days to get it in. And if you don't use that, trust me, it's early in the season. You will find something to fill that third day with. So always build that in. It's a teaching tool that I use, but I think it's really important to do that too. All right. Go ahead.
I have 2 more points after talking. And this is the great thing about the show is we start to figure out other things that we're talking about the topic.
Right.
Number 1 is when you're planning your practices, think about the why early in the season. So a lot of people are doing the ball handling, the rebounding drills, and so forth. The why. Why are we doing the 3-man weave? I think about that. Maybe.
Okay, were you in Atlanta this weekend? Because literally, I talked about and don't get me wrong, we'll run a 3-man weave at practice at some point in the 4 months, but you don't need that for the first game. You don't need to just get them moving. Sometimes I use it as my warm-up just to get them moving, but yes, you don't need to do your 2-ball dribbling before the first game. You can build that stuff in, or you can have them come in the morning. I think that is a huge point that anyone that's listening is like, again, and this was what I talked about practice planning when I was down at the clinic, and it's like you got to ask yourself what are we about and why am I doing this at practice? And you'll love this. I'll send you the video, but I talked about rebounding and how we run our rebounding. In every shooting drill, we have a rebounder. Well, the rebounder has to put the ball back in. Well, a coach asks, well, why do you do that? I go, well, first of all, he's just standing there. He's not doing anything. I want him to do something. Second of all, I want to teach offensive rebounding because I think offensive rebounding is really, 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 really important. Third, he's learning to read the ball off a missed shot, which is half of offensive rebounding is reading the ball. The other half is just wanting to go get it. And then I told him my theory is if they get an offensive rebound, they get to shoot it. And you tell any kid that they get to shoot, they'll go after an offensive board. So those are my whys. Why am I doing that? So you have to ask that even more condensed in the first week, I think, because you don't have the time. When you're playing 1 game a week or, 2 games maybe in a week, you have some more time. You don't have time. You're under the crunch in that first week. So I think that's a really important thing that Jake just said about ask the why. Why are you doing that?
And the more and more as you get experience coaching, find ways not to always have to coach things in isolation, be able to do multiple things at once.
Yes.
How can you accomplish footwork with 2 to 3 other skills, whether it's rebounding or defensive positioning? How can you – so often when we're coaching, it becomes really easy to just focus on one thing when really you can be able to do multiple things. Your time is limited. Yes. And guess what? In the game of basketball, you can't just do that one thing at one time. It's just not realistic for the kid. The last thing I would really think is important is conditioning. Always make time to make sure that you're conditioning your players. Maybe hopefully all your players will come in and be conditioned when they come in, but it's not always what's going to happen, but being conditioned can really give you an edge early in the season over other teams if you take the time to really condition your kids.
Yep. I think those are both. Okay. We're going to end with that. All right. I'll see you next week. That was really good.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good, Coach. Bye.
Hey, Coach, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Make sure you go over, check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. 14-day free trial. On the high school hoops thing, I have not talked about as much the free resources over at Teach Hoops on YouTube. So go over and check that out. I think you'll really enjoy it. There's over 1,000 coaching videos there that you can hopefully delve into. And then if you're looking to take your coaching to the next level, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Have a great weekend. Get out and rake those leaves.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.